So my name is Shawn Casadevall on Market Web. We specialize in digital marketing, branding, visibility, social media, those kind of things.
Thank you. Michelle?
My name's Michelle Denton. I just barely signed my agreement over the weekend with Harley. And so just looking for more information, trying to get through all my onboarding info, and the SEO stuff sounded very interesting for me to try to call in. I work a full-time W-2 job still. I just happen to be homesick today.
Oh no.
So otherwise I can't always do these middle of the day calls as well. So
Yeah.
worked out. Thank you for
I'm glad
having
you could
me.
join us. Hope you feel better soon.
Thanks, me too.
All right, well, so we are recording this, and we do send the video out to our clients so they can watch afterwards. We can also have some Q&A at the end. I've got some kind of questions we can talk about as well. But let's go ahead and just jump right in, Shawn, and have you just go through what you were planning on sharing with us, and then that might prompt some questions and other discussion after that.
Yeah, well, would be happy to. I appreciate Harley connecting me here. I can tell you that I have been doing digital marketing for going on 20 years now. I started my brand 10 years ago, 2 months ago. So it's had our 10-year birthday. Marketing Chattanooga Market Web really specializes in overall branding in a very non-traditional sense. And my goal is to make sure that when people search for my clients' products or services, that they find them on Google or social media before their competitors. Where I've really taken pride over the last several years is doing a lot more consulting. And what I mean by that is I truly believe in working with clients to teach them to better market themselves. Yes, if it's something they want us to assist with, we're happy to do so. I've always done a very different model than traditional marketing in the way that I don't believe in that long-term 4 to 6 month range to start seeing deep keyword movement and growth and revenue generation like a lot of traditional SEOs do. I believe in a sprint model that says that we are working to gain and garner returns, clicks, conversions, traffic right away. I'm a big believer that especially on service-based companies, and forgive me as I don't know what your industries are, that there's less and less value anymore in focusing on website design or deep blogging or deep SEO content, but more in fact focusing on the Google products, Google My Business, which is Google Maps and Google Reviews, reputation review marketing, but as well as social media. I'm a big advocate of Facebook ads, as we can see Facebook ads convert very quickly for pennies on the dollar compared to traditional SEO efforts, compared to Google AdWords and other tools. I can't say enough. My consulting services are always free, and it's my pleasure to, at any time, consult with anybody here and kind of tell how we can better assist. But, I say that again to say that it's a weird industry, and I'm kind of backwards where most of my competitors are, where they truly believe in a heavily optimized website with blogging and syndication and guest posting and all of these tools, which are wonderful. But I don't think it's the cost effective. I don't think it's the most quick to convert effort out there. I do truly believe in Google optimization, and I mean Google Map Packs, Google AdWords, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So, I took a bunch of notes, and I'd be happy to send these over to Harley, and Harley can send them over to you folks. I didn't want to go too deep into it, but any questions related to paid ads versus organic ads, to visibility, to methodologies that might be recommended for your particular industry. I love the term outside of the box and low-hanging fruit, both of those terms, because with all of my clients, I always want to look at what are those low-hanging fruit, what are the keywords, what are the ways we convert that allow us to overtake their competitors most quickly. So we can give you some options with that. We can show you some quick ways to do so. Optimizing with Google has never been easier, has never been more effective, and has never been more long-term. And what I mean by that is, unlike any other marketing effort, radio, print, TV, etc., Google is one of these things that as we get properly optimized, Google will continue to see your efforts for years to come. We can optimize a campaign, start showing well, and then just take our hands off, and almost on autopilot can continue to generate revenue and calls and conversions and clicks and and other call to actions, if you will, for a very long time to come. And even better so, all of it's trackable. Every single effort that we do online, on social media, Google, on your websites, etc., is trackable. So there should never truly be a question as to where my time or effort or your money as a client win. So I love the trackability of it. I love the ability to say that, this is what we've accomplished for you. This is what you've accomplished for yourself as your own entity doing your own marketing potentially. And I truly do believe that, I love the idea of doing this consulting where we're not asking for anything in return. And what I mean by that is I'm a big believer in relationship networking, relationship marketing. And I can say that over the 10 plus years that I've had my brand, I've had a large amount of customers and clients that have never paid me a penny, but they have been some of my best referrers. And I hope that comes due to the fact that I've really tried to build and nurture a deep relationship of educating clients and customers on what they can do to do this themselves in many ways. And again, what they can't do or what they don't have the time to do, as Harley can so much attest in his service, we're there. We're there to help out. So any particular questions on any of that?
Thanks, Shawn. Yeah, so I have questions like, how important would you say the Google reviews are? Like, is it something people should be concerned about? And if they are important, what do they do to get more Google reviews?
Yeah, Google reviews are very important. At least getting a baseline. And what I mean by a baseline is I truly believe the sweet spot is getting 25 Google reviews. That's very easy to do. Leave yourself a review as your business owner. Have your friends and family do so. It does not have to be, a legitimate client or customer. The simple fact is Google wants to see the activity. The best way to do it is to ask. We can build out short links for you, which can either be attached to your signature, your email, or requested on social media, which Harley, you do that very well. So yes, Google reviews, Facebook reviews, reviews through other third-party sites are very valuable. And what's great about them, it takes a little more work on the front, but once you get them up there, you don't have to lift a finger. They're there. They continue to stay there for many years to come. And yes, it shows a very good credibility with businesses that have a strong review following.
So when they talk about like the credibility, that's for like the search engine optimization, not just like when customers view your page and like, oh yeah, they've got tons of 5 stars. Like Google's search engine actually cares how many 5-star reviews you have.
Absolutely, especially on your Google business profile, more and more on your map pack. So, and forgive me as I don't know your industries, but if you are a location service-based industry that basically deals with people in your particular town, when somebody searches for your product or service, they're either going to do, as let's just say here, we're in Chattanooga, but marketing companies, Chattanooga, marketing, web design, Chattanooga, whatever it may be, web design near me. Ideally, when they get that search, the first thing they're going to see is that map pack, that 3-pack in Google. And in that 3-pack, they're going to see the name of the business, the phone numbers, how to contact you in other ways, how to navigate to you, but they're also going to see your reviews. And so very quickly, without a single click, they can see, oh, this company has, 55-star reviews. They're vastly more credible in what, appearance so than the company right below them that might have, 2 3-star reviews as an example. So it carries a lot of weight, both as to the consumer, but also to Google, as Google does see that strong activity.
And what about some of the settings that are kind of optional for Google business pages, like call through or like messaging? Like, does it matter if a company or a business turns those off? Is that like going to lower the result? Or is that just purely kind of a contact thing, not impacting search results?
Yes and no. And what I mean by that, I have clients that are absolutely dominating for their relevant locales and keywords that aren't utilizing any of those services. But I definitely believe Google wants a full accountability using all of their suite. And what I mean by that is all of their tools. If you're utilizing their tools, it's going to give you a better credibility through Google.
Awesome. And then how does someone decide where to invest in Google ads versus Facebook ads versus something else? How do you guide people on that?
Yeah, it's really research. Something that we always do for a potential client that's completely free is a substantial amount of keyword research, competitive analysis, audits and such. I want to know, A, what your industry is doing, how many people are searching for your particular products or services, how competitive are those products and services on Google, how competitive is that market? In other words, how many competitors of yours are spending time, money, and effort to rank for those relevant keywords? By doing all of that, we have a very good understanding of that low-hanging fruit term I used, where we can get the most return on revenue, or return on investment, click-through rates, et cetera, for the most cost-effectively more quickly than in other avenues. We may find that the Google AdWords campaign side of things is just absolutely consumed by competitors with very high cost per clicks. It may not be the best way to go, but we may be in an industry where social media wise, you may have very few people that are utilizing social media, and we can get a lot of very quick, returns on investment and such through that. So yeah, it's all done by research. And that's what I love about this industry. I can go deep. I can look at any one of your competitors and tell where they're spending their time, money, and effort, where they're wasting spend, where they're getting quick conversions, et cetera. It's the transparency of what Google has put together in this platform is really second to none.
So it sounds like it is not necessarily a product or service or industry-based decision solely to decide where you advertise. It's really hyper-local based on who the competitors are in that area and what they're doing as to decide where it's best to make that investment and how to make that advertising investment. Is that an accurate kind of summary?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We may find in a larger market like, say, Atlanta or Nashville or Orlando that things are vastly more competitive. And it doesn't mean we can't quickly get return. It just means it's going to require much more effort, and much more work. But we can absolutely make that happen no matter what.
So I know, so Michelle is not local here to Chattanooga. The vast majority of our clients are, of course. And so I guess a question for you would just be, how do you see the Chattanooga market in terms of like online advertising? Is it what you'd consider like a sophisticated market where a large portion of companies are actively doing online advertising, or is it like ripe for disruption where someone who's coming in, if they wanted to start doing this, they could probably just dominate because it's just there's not a lot of competition versus someplace that's maybe more sophisticated, like the Tampas or Seattle areas or things like that?
Yeah, I have clients in multiple markets in multiple states. We find that some markets are vastly more educated. Chattanooga is a very educated market. It's a tech hub. There's a massive amount of tech startups here. So there's a lot of marketing agencies, a lot of businesses that are well versed. Chattanooga is a very competitive market in any particular industry. With that said, my native town or hometown is Orlando, which is a top 5 market in many ways, but is a market that has no visibility in the way of competitors of mine, marketing agencies that are really heavily vying for number one for competitive keywords. So even though it is a very heavy market, a very saturated market, it's actually a surprisingly easy market to rank in. And we say that in a lot of larger markets. So, there's a lot of variables there. But yes, there is a difference in market based on education, based on amount of competitors and amount of quality competitors that are spending that time, money, and effort to rank.
What about how does someone decide on like what type of ad? Like, do they just a static image or a video or text or like a download or a call or a like? There's so many different things. Do people like? Does it matter? Do you see people like paying for ads to just get like likes and followers, or more of just like trying to get eyeballs on their website, or filling out a form or downloading a freebie? What do you typically see your clients doing, and what typically has like the highest conversion of investing on this and creating the content and to like the clients getting a paying customer?
All of the above, but I can say that as a results generated marketer, I'm not really interested in like campaigns. The Facebook like campaigns, hey, they're great for keeping existing customers in the know and building out strong social media followings, but that doesn't really generate a lot of return. So, when it comes to social media, I'm all about building the online chat, basically the messaging campaigns, because more often than not, when people are on social, they don't want to pick up a phone. They don't want to dial. They just want to have a quick option. Oh, I see a sponsored ad. I'm going to click it and start a conversation right there. So, I like the ads, both that and in AdWords that generate return call to action very quickly. Google, I do a lot of call only ads, basically where the ad's only going to come up on a mobile device. They're going to see the ad. They're going to click it. It's going to automatically dial that business. That's the call to action. That's the trackable tool, and it's done right away. But I see value in all of them. Building a strong social media following, you want to go after deep likes. Likes are great for, again, keeping existing customers and clients in the know, but it's not necessarily the best way for converting to paid leads and such.
Okay, well, that's not, what I'm hearing there is couple opportunities for further leverage of virtual professionals. If you've got these campaigns where you're getting all these messages, hey, are you open? Or hey, tell me more about the service. You do not want to, as a business owner, be directly answering all these things. That is a great thing to have the virtual professional do that initial kind of screening, template message response. Then they can kind of weed out the real serious people and get those serious ones connected to the business owner to close the deal. Is that something that you typically, does that sound reasonable for this kind of model?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Harley, as I've mentioned, I'm literally right around the corner from having all of these things in place where I'm going to need you more and more. But I am already at that point where, it takes a lot of time. I get a large amount of messages between my brands. It's getting more and more to the point that, yes, I absolutely see the value in having, your professionals to kind of carry that load for me. So I fully think so.
And on the calling side, do you typically see businesses using specialized phone software to handle these calls, like virtual phone services, or are they just melting your client's cell phone and they're just running off the hook and going to voicemail? What do you typically see your clients do for the phone handling of the call to action when it's a phone call?
Yeah, I cross the spectrum of mom and pop startups, if you will, to larger brands. A lot of people are still using voice over IP, and other services. I have a lot of campaigns that I drive to Google Voice accounts. One reason I love Google Voice is we can track it, we can do call recording, we can do those kind of things. I can't say I have the best recommendation of how to better utilize maybe your services on a phone type service, and I'm all about looking at that. But I see the whole spectrum. I mean, we've got people that are sending ads directly to a cell phone, to voice over IP. I do have some clients that are sending them to call services. But it can all be done in any way, and we can still track it all. So, and forgive me for not having a more 100% on that answer, but I'm seeing the full spectrum.
All right. I mean, so when I was starting to work at Gen X, I was looking into phone services, and we started out actually using Google Voice because I had used Google Voice personally for many years. And for business purposes, I found that it was somewhat limiting on like the voice recording. Like it made an obvious, like, hey, this call is being recorded. So it sounded very salesy. And it was also quite expensive per license from a business standpoint when you're using it in the professional mode. So we actually use OpenPhone now. It's a lot more affordable. It has automatic call recording. At least in Tennessee, it's a one-party state, so like there's no issues with legal issues of automatically recording all the calls that are coming in. So I like it because it just gives a lot more accountability. I can easily check all the different phone numbers I have on my account for all the different employees to do quality control checks. If someone says, hey, I never heard from you, or I didn't get that call, it's like, well, here's a voice recording of them leaving the voicemail on your phone. So I've been real happy with that. I definitely recommend that for all my clients if they need a phone service. Of course, all of our employees already get their own open phone account that they can use for our clients. I've had other people use other phone services. I've looked at them; they're a little bit more expensive. So there's not really been a compelling need. There's maybe some of them have more advanced routing and stuff like that. But it's definitely a lot better than having just your direct like Verizon or service provider number being the one that's melted. So many times I call small business owners if I'm like trying to get a service, like a handyman or someone like that, and it just goes to voicemail, and the voicemail box is full. And it's like, how is this person able to keep their business afloat if they're just dropping business because they can't answer the phone?
Absolutely, I fully agree with you.
So, well, let's open up a little bit. Clay, welcome for joining us here a little bit late. Shawn was just talking about ways of optimizing business results with search engines and differences of like Google ads and Facebook ads and what techniques make the most sense for maximizing your investment in advertising. I know you know a lot about that as well. So Michelle or Clay, if you guys have any questions for Shawn, we'll kind of open it up and see what you guys have.
You had said something earlier, and I'm not familiar with the phrase, map pack. And I may have even written it down wrong. It was when you were talking about Google reviews, Google Maps, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and ad pack, map pack, something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. If you can
Yeah,
explain that, would be helpful.
I'll just use an example of a restaurant. If you get on Google and you search restaurants near me or Chinese restaurants near me, whatever it may be, the map pack is when you do that search and you pull it up on Google, usually your first potential three list is Google AdWords. The next three is going to be the map pack, the three pack. Those first three listings you typically see are the first three organic listings for the business. Google assumes a bunch of variables when they bring up those three, how well optimized they are, how close they are to your location, because typically Google is trying to give you a product, service, restaurant that is closest to you. So that map pack or that free pack are basically the first three listings come up for that continuous keyword. You may see that change depending on when you search for it, depending on where you are in town. There's a lot of variables there, but my goal is with any client is to have them dominate that free pack, that map pack for all relevant keywords for any particular side of town. Does that make sense to you, Michelle?
Yes, perfect. Thanks.
Okay. And any other, if I can expound on that any further, by all means, I'm happy to.
Any other questions or ideas, Michelle or Clay?
Yeah, and by all means, Harley, if they have anything afterwards, they're welcome to reach out to me in any capacity, any way that I can help. Again, I cannot convey enough. My consulting services are free. It's my pleasure to do so. So use them. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you, Shawn. Yeah, sometimes I do get questions from people a couple of days after we send out the recording, so I definitely can pass those along to you. Well, if we have, I know, so Michelle's just getting started. I don't even think that she's got her virtual professional assigned. I think we're still doing onboarding there. So I was going to see if we want to do kind of a around the room of sharing some recent wins. Clay, do you have any like recent wins with your virtual professional, or willing to share any kind of ideas on how you've been utilizing them?
Sure. Hang on, I'm trying to get my camera to, but there we go. I hate talking anonymously. Yeah, Daryl has been, he's really becoming my right arm in terms of assisting. I've been using him particularly for content and blog posting, things that you don't get around to when you're a small business owner, but that's critical, especially like for the kind of things that Shawn does, where you need that content on your website so that when people do find their way there, they have something interesting to read and they can learn more about who you are, what you do, how you think. So I've been using him for that to help me get post. We've got post now up and scheduled through, gosh, the end of next month. Doing a fairly regular cadence of content production, and I'm training him to do like technical things with we do a lot of work for customers with CRM management, marketing automation, that kind of thing. And so he's studying and learning to be able to pick up some of the small repetitive tasks that my clients need done as well. So it's super helpful. It's just a force multiplier.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure thing.
Well, one thing I like to do and kind of encourage clients is like set a personal challenge every week. Try to come up with one thing that you're doing either personal life or in your business that you can try to offload to your virtual professional. And I find that's a fun exercise to kind of force me to whenever I'm doing something that's on the phone or computer, think about, do I really need to be doing this? Or is this something that with maybe a little bit of guidance, a little bit of training, a screen recording, I can have a virtual professional do? Recently, my wife and I were listening to a podcast, and Michelle, you may have actually heard the same one. It's from the GoBundance group. They were talking about how like if you're doing something and like it's painful, the question to ask yourself is like, don't get frustrated, don't get upset about it. Ask yourself, how can I never do this again? And just think totally outside the box. Like this bad situation happened, we had a failure in a business, or this investment didn't go right. How can we make sure this never happens again? And a lot of times the solution is like creating procedures, having somebody else do it for you, because a lot the context they were talking about was the individual, the principal in the business, not having to do these menial tasks ever again. And so it's about just building up the team, having the right people in the right places so that you can really accelerate your business growth. And it kind of talked about too, there's this like pain point in a lot of our business, especially when we are starting out, where it actually becomes easier as your business is larger to scale. You've got more budget for overhead. And then these kind of small things are actually easier to delegate. There's like this kind of scary moment in the beginning of the business, like, okay, do I make that investment of, $1,000 or $2,000 a month to have help, so I'm not having to do these menial things and can really focus on pushing the pedal to the metal on growing the business? Or do I like save the money, which I hear a lot, I'm going to save the money by doing it myself and then try to get there. And oftentimes what happens is it just takes a lot longer to get there then. And so I'm a firm believer in like practicing what you preach. So I like to share it with people. Kiara was the first thing I did when I started Workergenics. I went and registered with the state, had my business plan, and then I hired Kiara to get that executive assistant so that from day one, I wasn't doing the administrative parts of the business. And so that has just really allowed me to focus on the high level things and help make it so that this business has grown so rapidly in just 1 year period of time. And I like sharing that and just guiding other people so they can see similar results in their business. It sounds like, Clay, you're well on that track with Daryl, offloading those things. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, and it's funny, while we're sitting here talking, he just pinged me on Google Messenger to remind me that I needed to be in this meeting today. So
nice. Yeah, it's helpful to have that extra set of eyes and ears on your schedule and someone to remind you and keep you on track. Well, Michelle, I know you haven't really gotten started yet. Do you mind sharing kind of some of the things you've been thinking about and preparing to have your virtual professional take over for you?
Sure. I have a list in my phone somewhere, but just off the top of my head, definitely getting back on top of my CRM. I haven't touched that thing in a couple of years. So I've got lots to do in there that I can hand off and build my business. And I do agree. I did hear the GoBundance presentation on how can I never do this again, and just trying to get the right people doing the right things. And I do that all the time at my fire department job. So just trying to get it into the real estate portion of my life is what I'm reaching out for you guys to help me with. So the CRM for sure, building some procedures. I have several long-term rentals, one short-term and then a couple midterms. So really just building those, welcome books and implementing more than just the basic. I have Furnish Finder and Furnish Finder and Airbnb so far, but I know there's a lot more platforms that I can be using that I just haven't had time to get into. So using my virtual professional to kind of get me up to speed on some of that as well. So I don't know. My list is long of things
That's awesome.
to do. I'm anxious to get started, but I haven't even, touched my onboarding except for like the first or second video.
Perfect. Yeah, doing the short-term rental listings can be so tedious. I remember when we first got our very first short-term rental back in 2019, and I was creating a listing myself. That was another one of those, like, how do I never have to do this again? Because there's just like so many questions. And the thing is too, you got to log in all the time and check, because those platforms keep changing what amenities they have and options and check marks and things like this. Like if you're not saying, oh yes, I do have air conditioning, even though it wasn't an option when I created the listing to even say I had air conditioning, just as an example, then all of a sudden your listing doesn't get shown up when people start searching for a house that has air conditioning, even though obviously you've got air conditioning. And having a virtual professional that can just log in on a weekly basis and just check all those different options to make sure it's up to date. When there is a new platform, like we use Home Exchange, we use the Furnish Finder, we got VRBO, Airbnb, and then we have our direct booking website. And so, when we have a new house that we buy that's going to be a short-term rental, we can just set up. We go and get the pictures. We kind of have like the basics of what the house offers. And I can just create a task on their task portal and have one of our assistants go and create the new listings. They're already a team member on those platforms. and they can just get them all set up, get the pictures nicely uploaded. And I don't know if you guys have ever like arranged pictures on one of those platforms. It's so tedious. That is like one of those definite things where like, how do I never have to do this again? And like have that virtual professional make sure those pictures are up there, add those captions. And so, I am not by far any expert on like the listing optimization on those rental platforms. I have heard some things where they actually will boost your listing if you just like rearrange the photo sometimes, or you like add a new photo or a new cover photo. And so those are other great things to have the virtual professional do for you on a periodic basis. Clay,
Awesome.
I just saw you shared a link. Can you tell us about that?
I did. That's I actually have a couple of clients that use this platform for short-term rentals. One of them they've got about 800 different properties that they manage using Streamline. I have no dog in the fight other than I've just seen the platform work, and it does a great job. They use it in conjunction with WordPress. So they've got WordPress sites for their different properties. Some of them are micro sites, some of them are a little more robust than that, but basically to drive that business. And then they do the SEO work on their WordPress sites. But Streamline's what manages it. It controls you can set up all your follow-up emails. Here's you're going to check in. Here's your code to get in the gate. Here's your code to get in the door. Here's, so-and-so, and then follow-up reviews and getting those reviews posted on the back end. So just a tool that I know I don't use it because I'm not in that world, but I've got clients who do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. I had not heard of that one before. So I'm going to definitely be checking that out. We personally use an aggregator software similar. It doesn't sound like it's nearly as robust, called IGMS, and it allows us to have all the messaging in one place, automatic messages, some automatic reviews. It only does automatic reviews on Airbnb. So unfortunately, my guests from VRBO don't get reviewed. And another thing that we do is have the virtual professional who does our social media. Whenever we get a review from any of those platforms, they go and make a nice graphic that highlights features of our house, like view of the ocean, or picture of the living room or the dining room, something that looks nice, and put the caption of the highlights of the review and the 5 stars and all that, and then a link to our direct booking page. Because for us, one of the things we're really trying to promote is the direct bookings. I don't want to be beholden to Airbnb or VRBO for all of my income on these properties. I try to treat each house as its own business. And so you never want to be in your business dependent on one stream of income. You want to have lots of clients. You want to have multiple streams of income. And if those platforms, if you get a bad review, somebody doesn't like you and they say something that's like, oh, they had a hidden camera in their bathroom, you could get delisted right away. And then it should take months to, fight that and prove like, no, that's not true, before you can get relisted. So it's so important to be driving them to something that you control. I've just heard horror stories from other hosts who like only use Airbnb, and then their listing got shut down and they had to, lose their house because they were not making any income on it for 6 months.
What is a direct booking site that you use?
So we just have our own like WordPress page.
Okay.
For our general, property management page that we do for our properties, and then we just create a page for each house there. And IGMS has a WordPress plugin that just allows us to drop a block in there, and it has a drop down that lists all of our properties on IGMS. And I just say, this is the Mermaid's Dream house, this is the Mermaid's Delight house, this is Siren's Song, and then the guest can go in there and pick the date. It's very similar to like interface to the Airbnb booking, where it's got the dates and shows you the prices. You can input number of guests and things like that, and it integrates directly with Stripe for payment processing so you get paid that way. And then you're also not beholden to like the crazy reviews where like Airbnb drops your ranking if somebody gives you a 4-star review. And a lot of guests, they don't realize 4 stars is like bad on Airbnb. To them, they think 4 stars and 5 stars is great. Like you give a 4-star hotel is still a great hotel to stay at, right? That's not the case with Airbnb, and they don't understand that. So again, that's more of like, if you can get those direct bookings, have the reviews just go to your own direct page, you're just in a better position than relying on this other platform that can change the rules at any time.
Michelle, I put an example website in there as well. This is using Streamline as their rental engine, so you can see the banner at the top of the first page for them to be able to do a quick search for when they want to come. But then you've got property listings and all that too. This is a site that's using the Streamline backend, but it's exactly what Harley's talking about. That's a WordPress website that you're looking at.
Awesome. Thank you. I was just listening to a book, Short-Term Rental, Long-Term Wealth, this morning. That's why I put up 5, including IGMS, which I know Harley and Adrian used. So I haven't investigated which one I'll go with, but I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel, doing a lot of extra legwork. So hence I'm on these calls.
That's smart.
Thanks, Macklemore Rentals. Got it.
All right. Well, does anybody have any other questions or things they'd like to share? Or Shawn, questions for Shawn?
Good info. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we'll respect everyone's time here. We've had right here at the 40-minute mark. So we will go ahead and say goodbye and see everybody next month. I think, Clay, you're on the schedule next month, right?
Yeah, I will. I think I'm up. It's May, right? Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to hearing from you then. And Shawn just dropped his email there. And I think everybody should have received an email earlier with a flyer from him. He's doing a free consult for Workergenics clients as well.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure. If I can, was a pleasure. If I can do anything for anybody, by all means, there's my contact info.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.